In this video, we're going to review how division with decimals works. So we first consider a division problem, 3.9 divided by the decimal 0.05. So we write it down as a regular long division problem. And I got a little ahead of myself here. We can't divide by a decimal, 0.05, so we need to move the decimal point however many places it takes to make that a whole number. And then however many places we move that decimal place, we need to move the one on the inside. So in this case, that will make it into a 390. Okay? And then the decimal point will carry directly above that number. And now we can do our division, 5 into 390. So we'd go 5 goes into 39 7 times, which would be 35, and we subtract. 39 and 35 will be 4, bring down to 0. And then we do 5 into 40, which will go 8 times. And so we get 8 times 5 is exactly 40, with none left over. And so with these problems here, when we divide, we're going to continue until we reach the decimal point and have a remainder of 0, which is what has happened in this problem, or until we find a repeating part. Okay, let's consider a second example. In this example, we're taking a decimal divided by a whole number, so there's no need to move the decimal places here. We're ready to divide straight by 3. So you'll notice I wrote the decimal point up above where it was at in the division problem. That helps us to keep track of the decimal point in our answer. And so we're going to begin our division. 3 will not go into 2, so we move on to the 28. 3 goes into 28 9 times. And we multiply. 9 times 3 will be 27. And we subtract. Now at the end of the decimal, there are as many zeros as we need. So we can bring down a 0 and continue to divide. 3 goes into 10 3 times with 9 left over. That'll leave us with a remainder of 1. We'll then bring down the 0 again, and notice that we're going to repeat. And so your rule for decimals when you divide is to go until you have a remainder of 0. After the decimal point, go to the decimal point at least, and then until you have a remainder of 0. Or after the decimal point, continue until you've found a repeating pattern. Okay, in this case, we've noticed here that the 3 is going to repeat, because 3 times 3 will be 9 again, and it'll just keep happening over and over. And so this decimal we can write down as 0.93 with a bar just over the 3, because the 3 is the part that's repeating, not the 9. There's a third thing with decimals as far as when to stop. That's related to rounding. So we're going to review rounding here in just a few moments. But for now, we're either going to divide until we get a remainder of 0 after the decimal point, or until we get a repeating pattern after the decimal point.